Welcome to Battlesphere, the ultimate arena where legends collide, myths are tested, and the greatest warriors of history and fiction meet in combat to determine who reigns supreme. Here, strength alone does not decide victory. Strategy, skill, and sheer determination forge the outcome. In this battleground beyond time and space, gods, heroes, and champions face off in battles never before witnessed. Today, we bring you an earth-shattering clash between two of the most formidable warriors of all time. Wonder Woman, the Amazonian champion blessed by the gods, and Hercules, the son of Zeus, whose strength has defied fate itself. One is a master of war, combining divine gifts with centuries of training, while the other is a force of raw power, forged through trials that have made him a legend among gods and men. As the storm brews over the battlefield, the stage is set for a battle of epic proportions. Will Hercules' godly strength prove unstoppable, or will Wonder Woman's skill, speed, and wisdom lead her to victory? The answer lies in the clash of titans, where only one warrior will emerge victorious. Let the battle begin. The clash between Wonder Woman and Hercules was not merely a battle of strength. It was the culmination of two journeys that spanned time, myth, and divine purpose. Each warrior had walked a path forged in trials, battles, and the weight of their destinies. Before their fateful encounter, the choices they made and the trials they endured shaped them into the champions they became. Born from the union of Zeus and Alcmene, Hercules was marked for greatness before he could even take his first breath. His strength was unparalleled, a gift from Olympus itself, but his life was never one of ease. He was plagued by the wrath of Hera, cursed to suffer madness and loss, and tasked with completing 12 impossible labors to atone for sins beyond his control. Through his legendary feats, slaying the Nemean lion, capturing the Erymanthian boar, cleansing the Augean stables, Hercules carved his name into history. Yet, his victories were always stained with pain. He had known betrayal, loss, and the agony of a fate he could not escape. While many revered him as the strongest of all, few understood the burden he carried. With time, Hercules' legend transcended mortality, and he ascended to Olympus, where he stood among the gods. But even among them, he was restless. Strength alone had always defined him. But what was strength without purpose? He sought battle not merely for conquest, but to prove himself again and again, to the gods who watched, to the mortals who whispered his name, and most of all, to himself. Then came the prophecy. A warrior would rise, one whose strength, wisdom, and what could rival his own. A warrior who would test the very limits of his might. And so, when whispers of an Amazonian champion reached his ears, a fire reignited within him. He had fought monsters, gods, and kings. But now, he would face a warrior unlike any other. Hercules did not see this as a mere duel. It was a reckoning, a chance to prove that his legend was not just an echo of the past. If there was a warrior who could match him, he would face them with all the might of Olympus behind him. Diana of Themyscira was forged from clay and breathed to life by the gods. She was raised among the Amazons, warriors sworn to protect the world from the evils of men and gods alike. Unlike Hercules, who was born into power, Diana had to earn her strength. From the moment she could walk, she trained relentlessly, tirelessly. She learned the art of war, the discipline of strategy, and the wisdom to know when to fight and when to seek peace. But Diana was never content to remain sheltered on Themyscira. The world beyond her island needed warriors, needed justice. She stepped into the world of men, not as a conqueror, but as a protector. Through countless battles, she had stood against those who sought to bring ruin. Ares, Cheetah, Circe, even the very gods who had once gifted her their blessings. Each battle had taught her that might alone was not enough. A true warrior needed more than strength. They needed heart, wisdom, and the resolve to fight for something greater than themselves. When Diana heard of Hercules' challenge, she did not see it as an opportunity for personal glory. She knew his legend, his strength, and his pride. But she also knew that battles fought for pride alone led only to destruction. If she was to face him, it would not be to prove herself. It would be to show him that true strength was not just power, but purpose. The battle between Hercules and Wonder Woman was inevitable. Both warriors had spent lifetimes proving their worth. One through legendary trials, the other through unyielding discipline. When the moment arrived, they did not meet as enemies, but as two forces of destiny, drawn together by the weight of their legacies. Hercules saw in Wonder Woman a warrior who defied the old ways, a champion whose strength rivaled his own without the arrogance of divine birthright. And Wonder Woman saw in Hercules a man who had been defined by battle, but had never truly understood what it meant to fight for more than himself. As they stood on the battlefield, lightning cracking above them, the air thick with the weight of gods watching from afar, they knew this fight was about more than victory. It was a battle between the old and the new, between brute force and refined skill, between the past and the future. And so, with the ground trembling beneath them and the storm raging overhead, they charged. The ground cracked beneath their feet as Wonder Woman and Hercules collided, the sheer force of their blows sending shockwaves rippling through the battlefield. This was not an ordinary duel. This was a meeting of two legends, each carrying the weight of their divine heritage and the expectations of those who had shaped them. Hercules, ever the warrior of brute strength, struck first. His fists, capable of toppling mountains, aimed for Diana's defenses with relentless fury. Yet, she was not easily broken. With the speed of Hermes and the wisdom of Athena, she met his strikes with her shield, deflecting them with precise, calculated movements. Diana retaliated, her golden lasso slicing through the air like a streak of divine justice. Hercules dodged, his reflexes honed by countless battles, but he underestimated her speed. In a blink, the lasso wrapped around his wrist, glowing with the power of truth itself. For a moment, he faltered, bound by the will of a warrior whose strength was not just physical, but spiritual. "You fight to prove yourself, Hercules," Diana said, her voice steady. "But strength without wisdom is only destruction." Hercules clenched his jaw, his pride burning hotter than any wound. With a roar, he flexed every fiber of his being, snapping the lasso's hold. He had faced the wrath of gods, endured the cruelty of fate. He would not be restrained. The battle raged on. Hercules, wielding his legendary club, sought to overwhelm Diana with sheer force. He swung with the power of a god, each strike capable of leveling entire cities. But Diana was no mere warrior. She was a tactician, a fighter trained not just to endure, but to outmaneuver. Using her agility, she ducked beneath his swings, striking at his exposed ribs with calculated precision. Her sword flashed, cutting through the air as she forced him to retreat. Yet, Hercules was relentless. He adapted, turning his defense into offense, catching her in a moment of vulnerability. With a powerful blow, he sent her crashing through a rocky outcrop. Diana rose from the rubble, her breathing steady. Blood trickled from her temple, but her resolve remained unshaken. She had fought gods, monsters, and men who thought themselves untouchable. Hercules was strong, stronger than most. But strength alone would not win this fight. Summoning the full force of her divine gifts, Diana charged. Her sword clashed against Hercules' club, the impact igniting the sky with sparks. She moved faster now, her strikes fueled by purpose rather than pride. Hercules, despite his might, began to falter. He had always relied on his strength to carry him through battle. But Diana's strength was not just physical. She was guided by strategy, by patience, by a will that refused to break. Their battle stretched for what felt like eternity. Blow for blow, they pushed each other to their limits, testing not just their strength, but their endurance, their will, their very reason for fighting. Then, in a final clash, Diana found her opening. Hercules swung wide, his exhaustion evident. She dodged, using his momentum against him. With a swift movement, she drove her knee into his chest, knocking the air from his lungs. Before he could recover, she pressed the edge of her sword against his throat, pinning him to the ground. Hercules, the mighty son of Zeus, the champion of Olympus, lay beneath her blade. His chest heaved, his pride bruised more than his body. But in Diana's eyes, he saw no gloating, no arrogance, only resolve. "It is over," she said. "Strength is not just about winning. It is about knowing when to stop." For a moment, silence reigned. The gods who had watched from the heavens held their breath. Then, slowly, Hercules exhaled. He had sought this battle to prove himself, to reaffirm his place among the strongest. But as he looked up at Diana, he realized, perhaps for the first time, that there were greater strengths than his own. With a weary chuckle, he nodded. "You've bested me, Amazon. I yield." Diana withdrew her blade, offering him a hand. With a smirk, he took it, pulling himself to his feet. He had lost, but in that loss, he had gained something far greater: respect. And so, the battle ended, not with the fall of a warrior, but with the rise of understanding between two legends,